Hello, everyone, and welcome back to season 2 of the Inspire series, where we are looking at week 2 in discussing everything children's books. I have with me once again our global expert panel of Josh, Sarah, Holly, Michelle, and Karen. And today we are discussing early readers, which are designed to help children transition from picture books to more text-heavy stories. So welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi there.
Holly, Canada, Sarah, UK, and the rest of us are Aussies. Very global. So early readers. And I guess I know, Michelle, you've written quite a few early readers. Would you like to start the conversation? That transition from picture books to books with more words.
Again, quite a modern thing. When I was growing up, I think I went straight from, picture books to Enid Blyton series to Stephen King. There wasn't really any such thing as early readers or even YA as a genre.
Yeah.
But I think that what there was at school was these reading books that had less pictures, more words. And one of my favorite was The Little Black Chicken. And I still remember it to this day. And it's kind of like the Dick and Dora stories that Mum and Dad tell me about. Like they were thin, very cheaply produced, and they were your readers to help you transition between the picture books and the bigger stories. But I think, again, when we look at what an early reader is today, it's much more commercial. It's usually a series, which is great. And I think today what I'm so excited about early readers is that we usually lose a lot of kids, especially boys or reluctant readers or neurodiverse kids, when they stop reading picture books, because the picture books are just so engaging and it just tickles a really lovely part of their brain. And then suddenly when we go to all words, they lose that. And then we lose them as readers. So that's why I think as a genre, early chapter books, early readers are just so important. And I think the diversity in the topics that are coming out in early readers is a testament to how much creators are really passionate about making lifelong readers.
Yeah. Totally agree. Josh, do you agree with that?
I think so, and I think what something that Michelle was hinting at was this transition phase from picture books to something all text, and including neurodiverse readers and stuff like that. And it's the simplified graphic novels that are coming out, and it's sort of these ones where it's like it's text, but it's like a comic strip, but it has that beautiful blend of narrative with illustrations, but it's not a whole picture book, but it's not a whole novel. It's this in-between state. And I know people like James Foley, who've created his Secret Mole series. It perfectly lands in that spot. So you could still be an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old reading these books and it's still cool, or you could be a 5-year-old starting to read these books and it's still very cool. And it really encompasses kids who, especially boys, as Michelle was saying, who may be reluctant to really jump into the whole reading a whole text thing. So it's a really nice segue. It brings kids along in that journey, and it's a nice little wedge. And I think there's a whole burgeoning area of those graphic novels or graphic picture books or whatever you want to call them that are coming into that space that are really helping transition kids through that.
Absolutely. Karen, I see you nodding your head. You're agreeing with what Josh is saying.
Yeah. Also, you need to distinguish between you have to know what a junior fiction is. Like in schools, they have readers and they have a purpose and they're leveled and they improve the reading, and they are quite similar, but as Michelle was saying, our junior fictions can be 1,200 words, and then I think they can go up to about 20,000 words. But they're more commercial, and their role is not so much to educate and get them reading, it's to make reading enjoyable and for the child to want to read. The other is to develop the reading skill. And as Josh was saying, I've got these. They're usually, like Michelle said, a series when they start off, and then they usually have picture support. And this looks like it must be about 1,200 words. And then I'm reading this at the moment, and you can see it's a lot more, but it also has picture support, but the pictures are now smaller. So as
so the text gets bigger, as it grows through. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then you'll find you'll have in the next ones that go up, they'll have so many pages, and then they'll have a picture. Yeah,
as you get toward the mid-grade readers as opposed to early readers.
A lot of Aunt Doe's books are like that. They have smaller pictures and more text in his books. I wish they would really put the credit for the illustrator on the front cover as well. But anyway, that's my bugbear and gripe.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. It's a joint effort. It's not just one or the other. It's a joint thing. Holly, can I just ask? With just picking up a little bit on what Karen was saying about how our early readers are levelled in schools. Is the Canadian education system the same as that? Do they have their books levelled as children progress through the schooling system?
Yes. I think that really depends on the area that you're, where you live, and how, there's different ways that they do it, but generally, there is definitely some leveling in there. And I know that a lot of times they're looking for like series that are really good for groups where it's where it covers a wide spectrum of levels of reading. One thing that I see quite often is series that may have some animation too. They may be something that is also a cartoon in a series. And how, like when I worked in the classroom, you would really notice, like just, when that light bulb goes on and they recognize, oh, there's, I remember this story, I've been exposed to this already, and just such enthusiasm to expand that.
Yeah. And that keeps the confidence levels up, doesn't it? It keeps the kids curious, wanting to know more, because I think once the confidence levels start to drop is when they start to lose interest and things can go wrong. So it's interesting here about the different systems. Sarah, is the UK the same philosophy?
Yeah, when you said that we'd be looking at early readers, I was like, yes, because I'm literally going through this stage at the moment with our youngest, and I go into her school and listen to readers, and I have to say, yes, this is the UK. So from age 4, when they start school, they are tested, they do exams, they are levelled. By the time they hit secondary school, they're put into 3 groups: top, middle, bottom, and that's what they're called. And every child is really, really aware of that. So when they hit this age, this 5, 6, 7-year age, they know that in the classroom what level they are on. They know what level their friends are on. They know, they're very, very aware. And I think it almost sucks. It just slowly starts to suck the joy out of the reading. And I've seen that with my daughter. So she's, it was picture books. Her room was full of picture books, and she's now hit this age 7, and she's doing a lot of level reading at school, and she's wanting to see what level she's on, what level her friends are on. Well, what about the story? What about the book? And the stories, for me, they're just not quite there. So we've now introduced early reader books at home, and she loves it. they are proper stories. They've got that heart, that soul, they've got drama, they've got plot, and they're nothing to do with level. So, for example, when I do her reading book, we have to read every night from school, and it's a level. And what is expected of us as parents, but also obviously of the teachers, is to, as she's reading, remember your digraphs, remember your trigraphs. What about your phonemes? Decode that. So it's not about the story, it's about that linguistic ability. What I found with the early readers that now it's about the story and the characters, and she's taken pride in her reading again. You know, she's pulling out the early readers and they're chaptered, and she just can't believe something like a chapter book. And so for me, they've been an absolute godsend to get rid of that whole kind of level knowledge at age 7 and just go back to, because she just finished picture books and they're just starting to not quite engage her as much. And you know, these level books are just, it's quite hard with them. So to bring in early readers, it's brilliant. We are going all out. She's reading Dogman and, you know, all these graphic novels, and I can just see it. It's ignited something in her again, which is great.
Yeah, and you know, once again, it comes back to story, doesn't it? Yeah, Josh, you were going to chime in and say something there.
Well, yeah, no, just exactly what I wrote something on my blog post last week, and it was about how there's got reluctant readers, and you've got boys who don't want to read or show no interest in reading. And it's like, because the stuff that's available is really rubbish. And that's what Sarah was saying, the stuff you need to read for school, it's like, really, it's just crap.
Yeah.
But when you get good
dull.
stuff, it really engages the kids. It's good storylines, it's got great illustrations or great graphic novelists, that sort of stuff. They're going to just love reading. And I think that's the most important, is when kids love reading, they're going to get the linguistics. They're going to get all that sort of stuff that comes along with that, and that comprehension. And I think it needs to be a natural process as opposed to a forced process.
Yeah.
I think early readers are really underrated. So I think this is what we're saying today. We're flying the flags for early readers. I think it's a really underrated little stepping stone, but it's not. It's huge. It's really powerful area.
I agree. And one thing I've noticed, I'm going to chime in. My niece, who's now 13, but however, she was reading, like, this is a little like a little novelty kind of chapter book. She would have been reading that when she was 6. You know, and it's like, when I was reading when I was 6, it was like Dick and Jane. It was like 3 words per page.
Also,
so the level is a lot earlier.
It's also, it's not just the kids who are struggling to read that get disengaged. Kids who can read very well can read anything, but it doesn't mean it's suitable for them to be reading it.
And do they have the comprehension?
No, it can be to do with themes, concept development. Like, there's things that younger kids don't need to know that are in books. So these books fill that hole. They suit their age and level of development and their world. They don't need to be thinking about older things. They need to be celebrating the age they are. And just because, you know, like a kid can read anything and they go, oh, I want to read that because it's, you know, a big thick book, it doesn't mean it's a suitable book for them. So there's that side of the coin too. And I think these, they know, the publishers know that, and they, even if it's unconscious, or it's probably not, it's probably conscious. Like, this is about sharks and they're a band, and you know what I mean? There's nothing bad or anything. It's all fun. And yet it's engaging, and this is about a stick. Like, and you know, it's fun, and
kids love it.
Yeah, they don't need the older stuff. They need just to be having fun and enjoying reading, and the world's a good place.
Yeah, and that comes back to, isn't it, you know, when kids are engaging with picture books.
Yeah.
Still keeping the curiosity going, the mind's open, they're thinking about the words, the illustrations, how it all fits into the world. And the early reader should be a flow on from that. Yeah, yeah.
And I guess that's why we even have, you have YA and then you have adult, and adults read YA, but it doesn't have all that relationship, a lot of that relationship stuff and that older stuff in it. But and I guess it's the same with middle grade, and then you go down to these early readers. It just suits the age group they're aimed at.
Yeah, exactly. Michelle, do you have a favorite series?
Oh, I have lots of favorite series. I love the fairy series. I think that's really gorgeous. With all the different, I can't remember the name of it, but there's so many amazing series out there at the moment. I love the ones that are dyslexic friendly, so have the font specifically for kids who are dyslexic. One thing I did want to say though, there's also a danger with early readers that I think a lot of caregivers aren't aware of. Just because your child is able to read by themselves doesn't mean you should stop reading to them. And I think it's really important because a lot of people stop reading to their kids too early. And there's so much that happens when you read to a child and they're reading along with you. When they're at the age where they can read by themselves, but you're still reading to them, their brain's still developing, and cognitively there's still so much happens when they're reading the text and they're hearing you pronounce the words and everything like that. So if your child has a chapter book, just like a picture book, there is the opportunity for you to read the chapter book either with or to your child and still make it something that it happens together. And I think, especially, I know with Tommy, who still isn't really reading independently, definitely not reading for fun, it's still something that we're now reading, even bigger books like The Never-Ending Story and some of the books that I liked, even the Enid Blytons now, but I'm still reading them to him just to keep him engaged and just to keep him looking at the text and listening to me speak and doing all of those things. And he's fine. He's just not an independent reader. So if you've got a bigger kid who feels like they're too big to be read picture books, read them early readers, get them to choose a series that they really love and read that to them and keep it going until one day, hopefully, they will be an independent reader on their own.
Yeah. Josh?
Also,
sorry, Karen.
No, I was just going to say it's I think the child can miss you when they've had all that time with the picture book and you've been in there, and there's that bonding is so special, and the book allows that. By sharing books, that is something that imprints in memories forever. And it's not just the book that's created the memory and the love of the book, it's the sharing of it. And they must miss you if you just stop and just move on and miss that like closeness, because that sharing time is so important. Just lying on the bed and reading, and these don't take that long. Make it fun. Or the child can read it to you. Yeah. And show you what.
Yeah, it's that the child's listening to you, but you're also listening to them. And that's, it like you said, it's the whole everything. It's not just the reading of the story. It's that bonding, the listening, the being listened to, the being heard, the discussions that happen. It's that whole gamut of everything that comes with it. Yeah. And Sarah, you would be experiencing that with your little one.
Yeah. And I think that's how we kind of moved on to early readers, because suddenly I realized that she was disengaging with the picture books at night because we read every single night, and it's just a really lovely routine. I've done it with all my girls, and I noticed that slowly she was starting to get bored almost with all of her picture books that she's got in her room. I mean, she's got hundreds. And I was like, no, this can't end. Okay. And I just need to, and we were reading the school reading books, and she was saying, how many more pages, and she's not normally a reluctant reader, and she's, it's one of her strengths, so I was like, yeah, something's not right. And then I've sort of found these early readers. She picked out the ones that she thought looked the most kind of different to what she'd had before, these Dog Man and Cat Man, and just really funny and silly, and talks about farting and burping, and she loves it. And I'm really glad, because that means that we're kind of on that next phase where her love of reading is evolving, but it's still in that kind of that safety net of that whole picture book experience of, like Karen was saying, lying on the bed at night time. Because my God, I mean, anyone who has children knows that is the time at night time when they suddenly tell you everything that's happened in the day. And it always happens around the book, because it always starts that momentum. And I'll say, right, it's time to go sleep now, and she go, oh, but actually, mummy, this happened, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, where did that come from? Because she came home from school, and I said, did you have a good day? Yes. And that was it. So I definitely think it's such a lovely segment to have that transition. And I just think it's really underrated. And I think on a side note, if people are looking at picture books and they've got a story and they're like, does it fit a picture book? Would it fit an early reader, your story? So I think that's something for people that are thinking about writing a book. It's something for them to think about. Have a look at that early reader, have a look at all the kind of frameworks, and would your story fit early readers instead?
Yeah.
Great
Holly,
tip.
do you remember having that bonding through story?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, that's I just think it's so amazing what conversations that time opens up. And as I was thinking about more about the education side, it a bit different from the way Sarah described. What I find in Canada with we have that very much focus on a lot of testing. However, with inclusive education, I find there's quite an effort to make it less obvious what level students are at. Although you always notice kids, as we know, they're very perceptive. They know where people are without you saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think there's more of an effort to kind of almost keep that
Right.
a little bit under the radar.
Okay.
Where they're at.
Yeah. That's interesting. Josh, what are your thoughts on?
Oh, well, I would talk forever about the importance of
Yes,
reading.
I could
for
see
kids.
your mind going
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah, and everyone had said exactly what I wanted to say about that, and that is so important, especially as what Sarah was saying, the conversations that arise from that spot.
Yeah.
But I also want to add, I think maybe a final note would be that you're never too old to read to someone and to share that experience. A couple of years ago, my now husband, we actually ended up going to a secondhand bookshop. He got his favorite anthology of Winnie the Pooh that he had as a kid, and I got Blinky Bill. And then we would sit up in bed and read each other stories from that. And I'll read a
Nice.
Blinky Bill story. He would read a Winnie the Pooh story. And it was
Blinky
just
Bill,
sorry.
what's Blinky Bill?
Oh,
You don't know
Google Blinky Bill.
Sarah.
Donkey Wall.
What?
Okay.
Where is
Holly,
Blinky Bill?
Holly,
I
do you
have
know
Blinky Bill somewhere.
Still will find Blinky Bill.
Blinky Bill is a naughty koala that goes off on little adventures and gets in trouble all the time. And
He's a totally Aussie koala, which is
Totally.
probably
I
why.
have it
Okay.
somewhere. I will show you
Okay.
next time.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
not appropriate for a modern audience. There's lots of really inappropriate stuff that happens that it wouldn't get published today, put it that way.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
we need
Brilliant.
to do an Australian book
We do.
episode to
Yeah.
educate these people.
Educate. Yeah.
But anyway,
I have
Google
got a copy somewhere.
Google Blinky
Yeah.
Bill, Dorothy Wall. I don't know
Okay,
who did
I
the
will.
illustration. Did
Yeah.
Dorothy Wall do the illustrations as well? I don't know. Can't remember. But
I
anyway,
don't know.
but he was always getting in trouble. Anyway.
Okay.
So the whole idea was that as
Yeah.
a couple, we bonded over reading each other's
I
stories.
love that.
Yeah, I do. That's really
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, great conversation, everyone. Once again, we have to wrap this up. If I could just go through quickly, Michelle, do you have a favorite series, early reader series?
Oh, I have so many, but I keep going back to, for me, my early reader series was the Enid Blyton series in my childhood.
Yeah.
Like that was transitioning. So the short stories, so little chunks.
Yeah.
So you could read it and move on. There's lots of amazing. I'm just in awe of all the graphic novel series that are coming out. I think they're amazing and they really are engaging our kids. So
Yeah, absolutely. Josh?
I don't have a favorite, but now I would say the James Foley Secret Mole series is pretty darn good.
Yep. Okay. Karen?
I was an Enid Blyton person. I don't know if I've got a favorite series, but I know a very popular one, the Treehouse series. Would
Yes.
you fall into this, or would they go middle grade?
Oh
know.
gosh, that's a conversation
they're
for
pretty
another day.
fat. They're pretty fat. Yeah.
Maybe
They crossover.
Yeah, yeah,
one
Mm.
up. Yeah.
yeah. Sarah?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, at the moment, I've just been introduced to these graphic novels, which I didn't think I'd like. When I first kind of saw them, I was like, oh, because I grew up on, Enid Blyton and all this type of stuff. I love them. They're so funny. It's so great to watch, my child enjoying them and
Yeah.
showing their sense of humor, like the stuff that she gets. I'm like, wow, that's So yeah, definitely the Dogman, Catman series, brilliant. And anything graphic novel.
Yeah. Holly?
Yeah, the Magic Treehouse is the one that always comes to mind for me as well.
Yeah. I love the Magic Treehouse.
Mm.
Fabulous. Awesome. Thank you, Holly, Sarah, well, not so much for you, Sarah. It's lunchtime for you, but Holly, for your early morning rising once again to join with us for this series. Thank you, Michelle, Josh, and Karen, as always, for your expertise and wonderful input. We must find Blinky Bill.
Yes.
I will send you a copy. I will send you a copy.
We must find Blinky Bill. Holly, do you know who Blinky Bill is?
I wasn't familiar. No, I'm gonna have to check.
I have it somewhere. I don't have. I think it's still in next to Tommy's bed, actually.
All right, we will have it.
Got to read Tommy the story where Blinky Bill goes off into the shop, or actually he breaks into the shop and steals all the lollies.
No,
Remember that
we are way past that. We are way past that. He was traumatized. Oh, we need to do
Where
a full
breaks into
thing
the
just on
zoo.
Blinky Bill because the dad dies in the first chapter. And that
Yeah.
was his like,
Yeah.
what are you reading me, Mum? This is not appropriate. So yes, we need to do a Blinky Bill episode.
Yeah.
We will do a Blinky Bill episode. So thank you once again, everyone. And I will see you again for week 3, where we're talking about the next stage up, the moving on from early readers to the middle grade readers. So I will chat to you all again then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.